brother, you must embrace your femme. And no, this does not mean to paint your fingernails pink and red and purple. You can do whatever you want, but that is not the femme that I am referring to. The femme that I am referring to is a metaphysical understanding of two energies, which you can really think of as yin and yang, which is the masculine and the feminine. Now, as leaders, it is up to us to create visions and act upon these visions. Now, the vision is a feminine trait. It's a feminine byproduct of the brain, and then acting upon the vision is the masculine side of this. Now, the reason why I am saying for you to embrace your femme is because a lot of men lack this ability to create visions and act upon these visions. They are merely just floating through life, and they do not possess the capacity to create a vision that is worth people following. So let's jump right into this video, and hopefully by the end you will be a bit more feminine than you are now. And we're not painting our fingernails. Brother, you possess a penis and 2 testicles. This makes you a biological male. A woman, as we know, possesses a vagina, or makes her a biological woman. This is called the sex of a human. Crazy. You know, it's just a wild idea. Not even an idea, it's a wild truth. Here's the important distinction we must come to fully understand. In both men and women lies 2 forms of energy, masculine and feminine. Neither is reserved solely for a specific sex, but drives the characteristics, behaviors, and activities a person does. Now, in this video, we will be talking solely on how feminine energy is what creates your lived experience and then how to master it to become a more masculine man. That is the primary goal in this video, is for you to understand that the feminine energy is only here to make you more masculine in the end, because by embracing the feminine, you are not cutting yourself off from an energy that is inseparable from your body. Like, you cannot get rid of this energy. And you know, it's quite ironic, because the feminine energy is really what makes everything worthwhile. Because if we do not possess this feminine energy, we're not going to have the ability to, you know, have wants and desires for ourselves. And if we didn't have wants and desires, we would really just kind of be a robot. And that's not what you want. So to start this off, we're going to break down the brain aspect of these 2 energies. Now, this is a, you know, masculine, feminine is really kind of a trait or a byproduct of the law of polarity. There's always a polar opposite to something. So hot and cold, masculine and feminine, day and night, and so forth. The brain, this is a pattern of reality too. So there's nothing you can do to avoid this. There's nothing you can do to, you know, really argue against this. This is a reoccurring pattern that will exist from now, or from the beginning of time to the end of time. This is here to stay. So by learning about this is only going to make you a better leader, and this is only going to make you a better man, a better husband, a better brother, a better man in general. So the brain is split up into 2 hemispheres. The left hemisphere is the masculine, which is the conscious reality. It's the waking reality. It's the doer reality. Right now, you and I are operating from the masculine side. As where the feminine is the subconscious reality, it's the imaginative reality, it's the emotional reality, it's the sensual reality. Now, you don't see the feminine aspect of reality per se. You at first, I should say, you don't see it, because when you learn about the feminine, you'll realize that the masculine is only mirroring what the feminine is creating. So because the feminine is below consciousness, below present tense awareness, it is the creator, it is the conceiver of masculine assertion, it is the writer. So what is it writing? It's writing identities and desires. Now, the masculine is the participant, it is the witness, it is the force and the expressor of the feminine, and is acting on behalf of what the feminine is receiving. This is the tricky part, though, because if the feminine is asserting what the masculine is giving it, how does one change? Because if, this almost seems a little, confusing, because how are you supposed to change if your subconscious mind is only acting upon what is consciously being accepted as truth? But that's the irony, because really it is the feminine who creates the framework for the masculine to take action. So as you're going to understand later in this video, is you need to actually, by stepping and embracing into your feminine, you're actually going to create the inner world first. And then as you create your inner world, and this is a world of leadership, of integrity, of business success, of prosperity and abundance, you will then have no choice but to act upon this identity. And that is the beautiful thing about learning about the feminine, and really the most important part for a man to come to understand. Because if we do not embrace the feminine, we are directionless, we are apathetic, we are depressed, we're mean, we're violent, we're aggressive, and that's not at all who you want to be or I want to be. So again, the creator, the conceiver of the masculine assertion, the writer of identities and desires. The masculine is the identity expressed, desires acted out. And then you can also break down the left, the masculine, the right, the feminine, through these actual physical aspects of the brain, where the left brain is logic, language, it's realistic, it's analytical, ordered steps, it's decisive, evidence, literal lists, and the right is emotion, nonverbal, it's creative, it's passionate, it's big picture, artistic, musical, and so forth. I always find it interesting too that, in the Christian Bible specifically, it always talks about the right hand of heaven, or the right hand of God. And in the mystic's perspective, when you read those pieces of scripture, it's really telling you to tap into the feminine part of your brain. And that's where, quote unquote, God exists. But God, more or less, is the aspect of you, and how I like to define it in the people that I learn from is really the imagination. By tapping into the imagination, you're cultivating the life that you want to experience, and you're cultivating the version of yourself you want to be. And in this case, we're seeking to be leaders. We're seeking to be better men. So by tapping into the right brain, the feminine part of our brain, we are literally forcing ourselves to recreate who we are right now. So again, this has literally nothing to do with painting your fingernails red and pink and doing girly things. This is not at all what is being conveyed to you. I am talking about a esoteric understanding of how your reality is experienced, or I should say created. I really have this desire to see more men lead from this perspective, or lead from this understanding. Because a directionless man, in my opinion, is a dangerous man. If we do not have direction, then we're not really serving our purpose. We're not really doing anything to benefit humanity. And I know you, as an individual, have every desire to make this world a better place. That is, a very generic, simple way of putting it. Your life goal is to make this world a better place. And the only means for you to do this is to embrace the feminine. Because if you do not embrace the feminine part of your brain, you are never going to change. You are never going to take ownership. You are never going to sculpt the stoic version of yourself that is accountable, that has integrity to what you say you're going to do, that holds honor for your elders and just anyone in general, and that has this reverence for life. That I know that's who you want to be, and you do this by embracing the feminine energy. So a quick tidbit is that your desires, these desires, again, the desire to become successful or a loser, desire to travel or to stay stuck in your hometown, it all depends on what you're focusing your attention on. So these energies are indifferent. So it's not positive or negative, it just is. So you have to be, this is why it's unbelievably important for you to embrace the feminine, because as you come to understand this part of your mind, you will audit where your attention is, and you'll be able to sit down in meditation, and you'll be able to, or journal, there's other There are various ways of identifying where your attention is on, or what your attention is on. And by identifying your attention, you'll be able to go into your subconscious mind, and you'll be able to pick apart why you act the way that you do, or why you speak the way you do, or why you have fear about certain things. Because you only do these things. You only act upon things that your subconscious mind accepts as truth. I said that in my recent video. But what your feminine ultimately incubates, that is what comes into fruition. And what incubates who you are and what you're experiencing is your attention. So you have to be very mindful of what it is that you're putting into your subconscious mind. And when I say subconscious, feminine. Imagination, feminine. They're all synonyms of the same word. But be mindful about where your attention is placed. In regards to leadership, if you are having these imaginal acts of people laughing at you, or not taking you seriously, or thinking you're a joke, then you literally are self-directing yourself to be taken not seriously. So your objective is to change and shift your focus to these imaginal acts of you being taken seriously. And there's going to be reasons of why you're being taken seriously, because it's not like, I mean, there is something to be said about just having this confidence that people can't, disregard. And that in of itself is going to give you this sense of leadership. But by cultivating who you are, you're going to learn more skills. You're going to learn how to speak better. You're going to be able to hold eye contact with people. You're going to be able to do the things that actually deserve respect and authority for people to follow you. So another way of looking at this is the yin and yang. It's this spiritual / metaphysical aspect. Again, so there's the moon and the sun. Often the sun is associated with the masculine, the moon is associated with the feminine. Yin and yang is a fundamental concept in Chinese philosophy that describes the dualistic nature of the whole, or of the dualistic nature of the universe, where opposing yet complementary forces interact to form a dynamic system in which the whole is greater than its individual parts. So when you think of yin and yang, like this symbol here, you think of it like as a two-dimensional image, but really it's a fourth-dimensional process. It is a vortex of both positive and negative energy, where the yin is the female or feminine, and then the black is the masculine, where the masculine is inserting itself into the feminine, and then the feminine gives birth to the masculine. But these forces are constantly cycling each other, and it creates this whole. And that's really, as you see here, the human body, where you have this inner field and you have the outer field. The outer field is the masculine, the inner field is the feminine. The feminine, being this inner world in which defines who you are, is then filtering out into the outer world, which I don't understand how reality works in its entirety, but and you know this too, that there's a clear understanding that the way in which you perceive the world is how you're going to experience the world. So based on this torus field, which is a measurable thing that you can go research for yourself. This is not just some woo-woo idea. This is actually a scientific fact that we have this energy field around us. Who you are within, as I said, is cycled on this outward plane of our existence in the physical world. And however this reality works, we place ourselves in certain situations and certain circumstances to experience people that will match our inner world. It's such a trip to me. It's like, it's not as, it's obviously not complicated. I'm just ignorant on how things work, as you are ignorant of how things work too, but it works. And I think the most important part really is of these three images to look at is the inner torus field. Because as you go through this inner field of energy, you're being cycled out into the world, and then that's the conscious awareness. you are then receiving more of what you find evidence for, and that is being channeled back in to your body and to your mind, which goes the conscious impregnates the subconscious, the conscious, the feminine, that is. And it's a never ending cycle. And it's such a, I think it's so amazing when you start to come to understand this stuff on a deeper level. This final image is a better way of kind of understanding a more simplified version of yin and yang, where the yin is a woman, the yang is the masculine. The woman, the yin is negative, and the yang is positive. And just like a battery works, the negative attracts the positive. It's not that it's like negative, like it's bad. It's a negative charge and a positive charge. But in order for a battery to be effective, it has to attract the positive charge. But there is no actual charge without the negative. So another way of looking at it too, or understanding it, is that the yin is the ether, which was taken out of a periodic table in, I forget what year it was, but that used to be part of the periodic table, believe it or not. That's the creator. And then the yang is matter, physical matter, the camera, our bodies, and it's action. So the vortex is what creates reality by binding both energies together. Now, with all this being said, it is vitally important to note that men are indeed primarily masculine in nature. And a way to use this is a really, explicit, it's not an idea. It's an explicit description, but it points to the facts of masculine energy, which is assertion or penetration. We, as anyone who's in the masculine, is asserting themselves into the space. They're asserting ideas, and then that idea is incubated and it is discussed. It's thought of. So when we have sex, we are inserting our penis into the vagina, which is a masculine trait to act upon. I know that's a very explicit description, but I really want to emphasize the difference between the two. When we were hunting and gathering, it was men that primarily did the hunting due to our biological capacity to run longer, exert feats of strength, and so on. During war, it is primarily men who fought due to the capacity for brute force, violence, and power. By no means does this make women less than. It simply reveals that men are physically more capable than women to do certain things. Again, certain things, and not because women can't, but because men have been created with these innate duties. You and I are very similar. I have this drive to be powerful, this drive to be forceful, to be absolutely ripped and shredded, to be violent in the sense of being a warrior in a garden. This is innate to us men. I don't know many men who are in this, and it's also not to say that the idea of like a princess who is an artist, a singer, or a cooker, or any of the feminine ideas that we hold in regards to females, that doesn't make any of that less than, because I understand too that women are abundantly strong, they're abundantly powerful, but there are differences between the biological differences between male and females. So I understand that a woman can do anything a man can do, but there will be differences in outputs based off of the biological truths of the design that we carry and possess. And there's nothing to do to counteract that. There's nothing, we can't change that. Even if you're trying to be the opposite gender. Like I know this is the classic, when you dig up the bones, like you will always be a male or a female, no matter how much you convince yourself that you're not. And that's no judgment per se. Do I agree with it? No. Do I think that there's exceptions? Sure. But I in my life don't know many men who have these feminine tendencies to be a princess. Like 99% of the guys that I know all have the same drive to be Batman, Superman, Aragorn from Lord of the Rings. Like we all have this innate drive to be these strong figures who possess the capacity to do horrible things. And horrible things can be justified in the instance of a threat. This also comes with the stewardship of developing your kingdom and making your world and kingdom are synonyms in what and how I'm using them right now. So understand that when I say kingdom, I'm talking about your life, your existence. You and I both have the same focus to develop our kingdom, to make it as abundant, safe, vibrant as possible. We want to see our kingdom flourish. We want to see people happy. We want to see people living abundant lives, healthy lives, fulfilling lives. We want to do those things. So when the title, Brother, Embrace Your Femme, I'm only saying this in regards to the esoteric perspective of you being able to bring this vision of you being a leader into existence. That is the whole essence. So now we get into the leadership and influence. Brother, you as a leader comes with leading the vision, refining the vision, correcting the vision, and almost more importantly, nurturing the vision. Understand that holding a vision comes from the feminine side of the brain, along the ability to nurture. What makes a man is the ability to nurture from a place of strength, as a weak and hyper-feminized man becomes volatile and dangerous. And that is not what your objective is, nor my objective is. In keyword hyper-feminized, if being a man, you are naturally masculine. So if you are hyper-feminized, you are going against the very fabric of your God-given nature. By you taking the lead, this comes with the influence of brilliance, but also kindness and admiration to correct people without hurting, demeaning, crushing the very people who are helping you bring the vision to life. Because it's not just your vision, because the people that you have in your life are going to see the same vision and they're going to want to bring this vision to life. But you, as the leader, are the tip of the spear, so to speak. You're the one leading it. But you can't lead as effectively as you can if you are not possessing the aspect of the feminine who's kind and considerate and understanding, because no one likes a dictator, more or less. No one likes an asshole. No one wants to work for an asshole or someone who's self-entitled and greedy. They want to work with somebody who can hold compassion for yourself and have understanding of your situation, but also at the same time assert this strong sense of tough love, to correct you when you need to be corrected, but not out of a place of demeaning your capacity to be better, but from the place of knowing how amazing you are, of knowing that you're capable of being and doing everything that you want to be. And that requires you to be able to operate in that feminine nature as well. In both men and women, if one sits in the vision for too long, the feminine, they are stuck in a hyper-feminine state. As you know, it's essential to embrace the feminine to create a vision, but it's entirely up to the masculine to bring the vision to life. A most important aspect of a leader is that a leader does not look at the world for proof, which is arguably one of the most important parts of this video. A leader may see an obstacle, but the leader knows there's always a way around this obstacle. So there is no moment spent in worry, fear, or misery. There might be moments of frustration maybe anger for a little bit, but there's never a moment where you're going to be stuck in this state of apathy that you're not going to be able to act, because you understand, as we both looked, the feminine is what is then experienced outside of yourself in this physical waking reality. You understand this. By understanding this, then you realize that you yourself create the solution to the problem. So you're not going to be stuck in this state of worry, fear, or misery, because at the very end of that sentence, or at the very end of you realizing there's an obstacle in front of you, you realize, okay, there's a solution and I'm going to create the solution. The leader taps into this feminine side and uses the force that creates to find a solution to the problem. So for some examples, if you are poor and look at the evidence of your senses to find truth in this, use the feminine power to cultivate an inner image of a king whose empire is full of riches instead of your poor self. Because again, masculine and feminine are indifferent. So it is also the feminine side of you that is creating your reality of poverty. And that is very important for you to understand. But once you create this inner image of a king whose empire is full of riches, tap into the masculine to take action to find the new evidence of yourself being this king, living in this empire. If you're single and look at the evidence of your senses to find truth in this, use your feminine power to cultivate an inner image of being loved dearly by all sorts of women or a woman instead of this singleness. Tap into the masculine to take action to find the new evidence of yourself being loved and embraced by women. Whatever your problem is, use your feminine energy consciously now to create the outcome that you want for yourself, and allow the masculine to take action to bring yourself to the outcome. Again, the feminine part of your mind is the incubator of your waking reality, is indifferent, so it will create whatever you give it, period. There is nothing you can do to stop this incubation period from harvesting a way for you to experience life. You're always going to experience a child that you create, so to speak. It is up to you to define what is being birthed into existence. And if you're ignorant to this fact, then you're going to look out into the physical world, and you're going to impregnate yourself with this version or this identity that has no control, has no ability to think for yourself. And the feminine mind is just doing its job. It's not going against you. And if you're religious, it's not that God is against you. It's just, this is how you were created, and you have a duty to fill your mind with the world that you want to live for yourself. I am not the creator of this existence that we're in, so don't take it up with me. But you are responsible. So you cannot wait for a savior to come out of the sky to snap his fingers or her fingers and give you what you want. That is up for you to decide what it is you want, what it is you're going to experience. And just as I say in almost every video, a tree was once a seed, and it takes time for it to grow into its full self. In the same way that a tree takes 50, 60, 70 years for it to develop into its adult form, it's the same thing with a piece of corn or a fruit or anything that you see out in this world, including human beings, were at one point an embryo. A woman was an embryo, and it took 9 months for them to be birthed into existence. You have to allow time for things to come into fruition. In this case, it's going to take time for you to develop into a leader. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but it will. The sense of things happening now is at the very least, you get to decide that I am going to be a leader, and that is instant. The process of you refining your leadership skills and the ability to lead will take time. But you do this by tapping into that feminine nature and becoming, and creating this inner image of a leader by seeing people saying, I appreciate your leadership. Thank you for taking care of that. I didn't have to worry about it. I appreciate your ability to get things done and accomplish these things. It could be the people that you work with, that people love working with you because you have things ready for them. You have created an environment that makes them feel productive and cared for. Whatever your situation is, you are going to use the power of your mind, the feminine mind, to create these inner images of you being a leader, of a man who provides and protects. You must cultivate the feeling of self-esteem, that you are capable in actually doing it, that it's not just some idea, but that you are actually living moment to moment from this archetype. That is the goal. Whatever the problem is, I already said that. Brother, you are a leader, and as you embrace the feminine energy, people will recognize your greatness. You don't need to try and prove yourself. You don't need to overcompensate to prove your skills. All you do is lead by example, and people will follow your lead. This lead is not for the sake of personal gain, but collective gain to make this world a better place, as this is what a real masculine king wants. Just lead by example. There's no need for you to, you see a lot of these guys overcompensating with flamboyant attitudes, maybe not flamboyant is the right word, but aggressive attitudes, you know, like the mean tough guy who thinks he's the shit, but really he's just overcompensating for the fact that he's terrified of his own existence, or he's terrified that people are going to see the truth that he's afraid. So he's acting the way he's acting because he's afraid. You don't need to do any of that, because you understand that the version of you within your mind that is ever being birthed into existence is enough for people to look at you and respect you, admire you, because you're honest, you're integral, you're honorable. Like you are that man. You are that king. You are like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, who really shaped my sense of what a masculine man is like, because he was a fierce warrior, but at the same time, he was a gentle leader. He was a firm leader. You know, it was like always, he was like perfectly balanced all the time. And it's been a long time since I've watched it, to be honest, because I'm waiting for my wife to watch it again. I promised myself when I was 17 that I was going to wait for her. So I'm sure I might miss something, but that was my favorite movie growing up, primarily because of Aragorn and what he represented as a man. You know, I remember watching that all the time and thinking about being him, learning from him as a leader, because he was so strong yet so gentle. And I think that really encapsulates what I believe a real masculine man is to be like, is the ability to destroy your enemy, but also at the same time to be able to have a tea party with your daughter in the next moment. I think that is a beautiful man, and I strive to be more like that, and I know you strive to be more like that too. So you'll know if you're being a real man by doing things that you're afraid to do. Now, I think that's a key point, is you might be afraid to do something, but by you trusting that your feminine mind is going to develop and create that version of yourself, you can, regardless, again, you're not living based off the evidence of your senses. And I'm not a perfect example. You know, sometimes I succumb to my fears, but I also I always act upon my fears, because I know that who I see within my mind is ever being created. And in the midst of the fear, I can rest assured that, yes, I am feeling this sensation of fear, but this doesn't define who I am as an individual, and this doesn't define the entirety of how my reality is going to be experienced. So, really, just in other words, have courage in the moments of fear that you're unsure, that you're apathetic, but just act regardless of how you feel. And by acting in spite of fear, that is true leadership. And as time develops and you develop and you step into this leadership, as I step into this leadership, those things that once made us fearful will no longer carry the same weight, and things will get easier. You know, we'll be more like Aragorn, where we can go into battle and there's always a sense of fear, but we are a better warrior, which I guess statistically makes us more likely to survive. Even I guess war is always you can't really measure war in that sense, but you get my point. So, brother, embrace the femme, man. It's not this idea of being more girly. It is a esoteric and metaphysical truth that the feminine part of your brain is what creates your living, waking experience. And if you have a vision and if you have a business, it is your duty to cultivate this inner image, and for you to then step into that masculine frame and act upon it. That is the essence of this video, is create the image and act upon the image. Don't be like me and sit around for years cultivating an image of creating content and then never acting upon it. It's has never produced the thing that I wanted for myself. So why would you be able to produce the thing if you're taking the same steps, which is no step at all? It's just never going to work. Like, you can never manifest by thinking things into existence. That is only one part of the equation. You have to have that inner image, and then you have to act on the inner vision, and then you have to act upon that vision. You have to bring it to life through this masculine energy of action, of assertion, of penetration. You're penetrating, maybe you bringing a new market or a new product to the market. You have to penetrate the market. The market is you can think of the market as the feminine energy, the womb. You bring something to the womb. And then as that womb receives this product and it becomes something, then it births the fact that this is a real product with real purpose, with real service, and it's affecting people's lives. You know, you can kind of, whatever your situation is, I don't know what it is that you're creating in this world, but you must act upon this inner vision. Otherwise, nothing's going to happen. So embrace the femme, enjoy it. It's fun. It's really nice to be able to actually sit down in meditation and focus on, you're hearing people congratulate you for your business success, or hearing someone affirm that you're no longer doing things that you didn't want to do, for example, that could be smoking weed. That's something I quit finally, is I would hear my brother saying good job for not smoking weed anymore. Just simple stuff like that. Like, it's enjoyable to actually sit down and impregnate your subconscious mind with these ideas, and then as time goes on, you actually get to experience it in the waking reality, and man, does that feel, it feels really, really good. And if you want to talk about a drug or a high, that is probably the most intoxicating high you'll get, is having this desire, this vision come to life. It's an incredible feeling. And lastly, I just be the leader you want to experience. So lead yourself into greatness. I'll catch you in the next video.